Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do from today onwards because uh, we won't be able to talk every day, and I think it would be good to chronicle my everyday activities in no more than 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm starting a vlog, you could say. I don't like that term, however. I feel like it's trite and hackneyed. Let's call it Video Diaries Part 1. Today is the 21st of June, and I'm going to try to do this every day and create this repository on YouTube and tell you sometime. Maybe if not this weekend, I'll tell you sometime. So you can check every day on updates on my end, even though I'm not going to talk to you live in person. You will be able to see what I've done during the day, or when you have time, when you're done with work, or maybe even if you don't see it every day in live, you could possibly check the channel every once a couple of days. Or the idea just came to me while I was on the underground coming back home. A good way to chronicle this, because every time we wait for the weekend to talk, the gravity or the seriousness of certain thoughts, they just are vaporizing. They're becoming elusive. I'm sure it is that way for you as well, with certain kind of things at certain points in time. So I'm going to do this. You may not wish to chronicle it video in the form of a video, or in the form of sabling some pages, anything. You don't have to do this. I'm going to do it. So today was a busy day at work. I always like busy days. They come, and then before you realize, you're so busy, you're so caught up with work, and it's the end. It's kind of tiring today as well. I went to this place called Murgar Han. It's kind of Italian-inspired Chinese. It was sort of a cross fusion of a cuisine, heavily Chinese, Sichuan style cuisine, I think. The noodles were delicious, absolutely delectable, thick, wide, long, white, stripy noodles. Doused in chili oil, spicy and braised pork belly. Oh, I thought it was fabulous. I've been doing 2 huels a day and then eating once. I was thinking of doing 3 huels a day, so I'm going to be less stringent about how many times I huel a day. On weekends, I'm thinking I'll cook and I'll eat. Otherwise, I'm just doing huel twice a day, and then whenever I want to, if I crave food, I'm gonna go eat food outside. Coming back, that was after work. I went to Murgarhan, really loved it. I was coming back on the train. I saw in passing that there was an advert of Facebook at the back of a newspaper. The entirety of the back page was a Facebook advert. Facebook has started a new initiative wherein they are going to provide a portal within Facebook. I think it's called the anti-bullying hub. That is, they're trying to create an ecosystem within Facebook to which children and adults affected by bullying can turn to for advice and useful tips and help and support from the community of maybe people that have faced this in the past, or maybe this could even lead to a more serious venture wherein developmental psychologists or child therapists, they also can create an online presence for them and be of help virtually. That just got me to thinking how complex social webs and virtual mediums are becoming, complex and sophisticated. At least I don't usually think about that, but it's becoming harder to ignore things and developments within these social realms, social and virtual realms. Um, you can't I can't continue to ignore them. I was able to do that for years, keep a distance from it, but these are entering these social virtual realities or creations that I thought at one point were just frivolous are now becoming very useful spaces, useful and meaningful and supportive spaces also. So that takes the frivolity or just a mindless scrolling out of it too. It's it's, it's becoming more acceptable. Yes. And came back, going to sleep now, quite tired. I'm going to do this every day. I'm going to make it a point to do this every day. So even if I'm tired, I'll do it for less. If I'm not, I'll go on a rant, a monologue. Is there something else I want to talk to you about? Tell you, update you? Yes, I told you I was waiting. I did wait for a while. I'm very excited for you tomorrow for your interview. I'm sure you're going to do exceedingly well. I have no doubts about it. I offered help, and maybe talking to me would not have helped you. Maybe you think others would have been a better resource. But I was keen on helping. I really did want to help, and I remembered the time where we video chatted, and I helped you. I asked you a few questions when you were preparing for your Cornell interview. I wish this would have been that way. Even if I mean, I guess you had assessed whether I would add value, whether you could glean or extract any meaningful value add from the conversation we were to have, and I assume you've ascertained that it would not have been as useful talking to me as it would be with others. Could be, perhaps, maybe, but I really wanted to help. It would have been good just to talk, the whole thing. But okay, I shouldn't be given room for emotions. This is the time to be rational, and if you think others would have been a better aid to you, then yes, you did as you thought so, rationally, and yeah, hope it helps tomorrow. Yeah, this is one random thing I wanted to talk to you about. I feel like certain things, when we're thinking about certain things, did it ever happen to you that you've imagined a scenario, a whole narrative, and then it doesn't happen? And then as soon as you've imagined the narrative and lived it within those fleeting moments of imagination, you think to yourself that it will not happen since you've already lived out that narrative? Does it ever happen to you? I feel like it happens to me a lot. So when I'm thinking about a certain thing or to be futures or outcomes, I spin a narrative, I live it, and I think to myself, it isn't going to happen simply because I thought it and I lived it already. So that opens up space for alternate futures or alternate narratives per se. And sometimes I consciously subdue myself from creating and spinning these narratives, because somehow by chance and depending on the number of times it has happened in the future, I have the superstitious belief that if I think it and I live it, then the odds and chances of it happening drastically reduce. So I think a lot of us do it in our own ways. This is my way of telling myself I should not, or I keep myself from spinning this narrative and living out this future for fear that it might not happen if I do it. I guess that's where superstitions spring from. I'm sure you've heard of the pigeon superstition too. Things like that, superstitions in general spring from that. If it's happened like that, you don't do it. Or things like people say, oh, don't say that, you'll jinx it. I think that's a version or a variant of this. That was an interesting musing that I had internally myself. So I went to work, had a busy day at work, finished work, went to Murgarhan, had a good meal, came back, saw that Facebook advert, spurred my thoughts in that direction, stepped out, thought about the video chronicle, I'll start it, and then thought about these alternate futures and narratives, came back, did about 150 push-ups, going to crash now, and I'm going to keep doing this. I'll tell you at the end of the week that I've been doing this every day, so from next week onward, if you're interested, you can check. You can, it'll be exciting. Video Diaries, signing off, day 1.